Sunday dark.
Going to call to order tonight's Muskogee City Council meeting for May the 24th, 2021. We will stand at this time as I will lead us in the invocation and the flag salute. Shall we pray? Dear Lord, we come thanking you for the gift of another day. Just thank you for all the blessings that you bestowed on each of us throughout this day. Just ask that you would just look upon us tonight as we, your city leaders, come to discuss city business. And ask that all that we do be pleasing in your sight and in your will. These and many other blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Marlon Coleman, Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Here.
Alex Reynolds. Stephanie Morgan.
Here.
Tracy McGee.
Here.
Tracy Hoos.
Here.
In the absence of Mayor Marlon Coleman as well as Councilman Alex Reynolds, can we have a motion to excuse them tonight?
So
Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. Item passes. Our consent agenda is before us. Are there any items?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, I'm sorry, let me back up. We have our minutes before us. Can we consider the minutes of May the 3rd as well as the minutes for May the 10th?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. All right. Next is our consent agenda. Do we have any items that we would like to move forward?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve our consent agenda items. Roll call, please.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. All right. So now we're going to our regular agenda. Agenda item number 1, please.
Receive report from staff regarding the Four Corners Signal Project and take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes, Deputy Mayor and Council, if you'll remember, we did a PowerPoint presentation a couple of weeks back on the Four Corners project, and at that time we stated that we would bring our engineer from Traffic Engineering Consultants, B.J. Hawkins, to give you a PowerPoint and address you on this subject as well. What I'm going to ask is that you please don't compare his PowerPoint to mine. This guy's a traffic engineering expert, and I think you're going to see that right away. So, BJ, if you don't mind, would you give your presentation?
You're too nice. Thank you, Council. BJ Hawkins with Traffic Engineering Consultants. Oh, is it going?
Yes, and
Do I have control or?
the
It's in front of you,
remotes.
Tish.
Oh, right in front of me. Never is.
Oh, you see it on your screen.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, we got it right here.
Sorry about that.
Now, BJ, if you can see this one.
Okay. Traffic Engineering Consultants was honored to be able to work with the city of Muskogee to be able to find a solution for the railroad issues that kind of plague the downtown area. This project has a long history, as I'm sure many of you guys know. We were initially retained in 2010 to look at a downtown study and to kind of look at possible solutions for this downtown area where the Union Pacific Railroad runs, kind of bisects right through downtown. Many times the railroad will stop on the tracks, which will block the at-grade crossings at Okmulgee and Broadway and further up to Martin Luther King and all those areas. So I know there's a long backstory to that with the trains stopping for 30 minutes an hour, possibly at times. And so the city tried to find a solution to fix that problem. Our 2010 study recommended improvements at the intersections you see highlighted here. It's Main and Court, Cherokee and Callahan, Cherokee and Broadway, and then Okmulgee and Cherokee. Am I thinking Callahan? Yes, Cherokee, sorry. So then in 2016, we were retained again to do the design plans for the improvements at these 4 intersections. So it's been a long, ongoing ups and downs. You know, we've made changes, modifications along the way, but here we are finally with our design plans completed and put out to bid. Point that. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, the one on the screen up there, BJ, is a delay.
Okay. So this is the area in question, the 4 corners, if you will. And so anytime that we had a railroad crossing, the trains would come through and potentially block the at-grade intersections for minutes to nearly an hour at a time. So we provided an idea and a solution to detour the traffic over to the Court Street Viaduct each way to be able to, bypass the at-grade crossings at Broadway and Okmulgee. So we have traffic will be going west, up Callahan, and then across the viaduct, and then opposite, any traffic on Main Street will be able to turn east across the viaduct, down south, and then over on Okmulgee. So break down each improvement at each intersection. So the first intersection, Main and Court, will be improving all of the pedestrian facilities at that intersection, all new pedestrian heads, push buttons, wheelchair ramps, connecting sidewalks, as well as any pedestal poles that we might need to keep, everything ADA compliant. We will install a new controller and a wireless communication system. This whole system will run off of a wireless system, so there's no need for hardwired anything, and it'll be able to be controlled and monitored at all times. There will be a new traffic signal head for southbound left turns, a 5-section head, if you will, with a left turn, a protected left turn arrow for southbound traffic. And anytime the railroad preemption would get turned on, there would be a protected left movement, southbound left movement, which is not there currently. Alternatively, anyone on the viaduct would get a westbound right turn, a green arrow, and there'll be a blank out LED sign that'll just force drivers to turn right only during this preemption time. So it'll be a way to just keep traffic moving at that intersection and keep the viaduct from backing up. There will also be upgrades to the detection system. There are a couple of areas that aren't currently working properly, and so they're looking at 2 different options on improvements to the video detection system at that area as well. On the other side of the viaduct, Cherokee and Callahan, we'll be installing a brand new traffic signal. We will be doing all new pedestrian improvements to the intersection, new wheelchair ramps, pedestrian signal heads, and push buttons as well. This intersection will get a similar treatment to the other intersection where northbound will get a protected left turn during the train preemption, and the eastbound right turn will it's called an overlap. And so they'll be able to turn at the same time to just keep traffic moving and flushing, make sure that the viaduct does not back up. The intersection of Cherokee and Broadway, the existing span wire signal will get removed. There will be, the intersections east-west are kind of offset quite a bit, and so we will be channelizing the eastbound movement with just striping to be able to push it out and align them a lot better. And we'll be installing the LED stop signs on eastbound and westbound approaches. The last intersection for this 4 corners area is Cherokee and Okmulgee. There will be pedestrian improvements at this intersection as well. 2 of the corners already have ADA compliant ramps, so we'll be installing ramps on the northwest and southwest corners, as well as pedestal poles pedestrian signal heads and push buttons. We will be installing a new controller, the wireless communication system, and new video detection, or vehicle detection at the intersection as well. So the main driver of this entire project, the thing that makes this work, is we have to be able to detect the trains. We worked long and hard early in the project with the railroad company, and they will not talk to us. I mean, it's just they will not, provide us any information, let us tie into their controllers. So we had to explore a different way to get detection of the trains. So we explored a bunch of different options, anything, all sorts of proprietary things, from little traffic pods mounted underneath the bridge to video detection to ultimately landing on radar detection, which the city has started installing at several locations. It provides the best results. You don't have to worry about the vibrations of the train bridge. It doesn't worry about glare or anything. And so we worked with the company Wavetronics, who puts out the radar detection, and their headquarters. They went out, they took some of their sensors to, I think it's Arizona. They brought it to a train station to see if they could pick up the railroads, because it's the first time they've ever had to use it in this type of application, and it worked flawlessly. They have no hesitation with it working on this, and they'll actually be present to help install and calibrate the railroad sensors at the viaduct. Our plan is to tie in there'll be existing radar detection at the new intersection of Callahan and Cherokee, and we will run an existing conduit and wiring all the way over to the viaduct, up between the I-beams of the bridge, and mount them on top of the trusses, pointing southbound on the railroad. This way it'll pick up northbound and southbound, and it'll detect anytime that there is a train, that it'll send a signal to that intersection, like sending a railroad preemption into play. If it's a shorter train and it's just moving, then the railroad preemption will not last long and it'll go back to normal operation. If it were to sit for 30 minutes, an hour, however long, it will hold that call, letting the traffic flush, but occasionally, every maybe minute, 45 seconds or so, we would go back to normal operation at the intersection to let everything run normal and flush out, so everyone's not getting held up if you're on the other legs of the intersections. Then it would go back into the railroad preemption detour, and then continue to go back and forth, just so that allows vehicles to bypass those two at-grade intersections and keep traffic flushed. On top of that, we will still take advantage of the emergency preemption. I know there's a emergency facility just right on the northeast corner of that intersection. So we can put two different stages of preemption. Emergency preemption will always be number one, and then followed by the railroad preemption. So it can all be done in these controllers, and we have no hesitation. Additionally, the city has several different ideas on improvements throughout this corridor, and one of the ones that is included as an add alternate in our plan set is to do upgrades to the signal controllers and add wireless communication to 4 additional intersections on Main Street. That'd be Main and Okmulgee, Main and Broadway, Main and Denison, and Main and the Mall. This way we could not only keep traffic flushing through there, but also it would provide coordination along Main Street, which there's an existing twisted pair, which is like a hardwired cable that goes up and down to those intersections, but it's not operational. It was installed many, many years ago, and so this would allow us to wirelessly be able to have a coordinated traffic signal on those closely spaced intersections, so that there's not any backups and it always flows north-south. That is one of the add alternates. It does not have to get done, but if everything goes to bid and it's under budget or within budget, then that is one of those that the city can select. Additionally, we will be able to monitor all of these intersections wirelessly, or from our office, as well as come here and make any modifications. We're proposing to do all the existing or the upfront signal timing implement those into the controllers that the contractors will install, and then come out, watch it, fine-tune all of the different time set or signal settings, so that way that everything runs good. And then wirelessly, we get any sort of indications that anything's not working properly, or if someone, Mike or Morris, sees something in the field, we can change that within minutes from our end. So with that, do you all have any questions? It's kind of a complicated, somewhat system, but we
BJ,
explained it.
what kind of time frame should our, I know we're gonna have to get something out in front of this, media-wise, lead time to start educating our public, but, what kind of time frame are we looking at for people to actually get trained to use that system?
Just the general public to
Well, I guess
learn
my
how-
question is really this simple. How long do we expect to get phone calls, concerns when it starts going into operation? Tell people learn that that's, or how to use the system, how to go over the bridge.
Certain cities that we've worked with can put out promotional video, either online, the city website or something, kind of everyone direct them to that. You could put out some sort of a statement. I don't know the route you want to go. Obviously, people will learn as they kind of see it in place, but we could work with you to get some sort of educational material or a short little YouTube video
That's
that could be
absolutely
linked.
where I was going. Thank you very much.
So, the delay is out to bid. The contractors haven't put in the delay or the bids yet, but usually the traffic signal poles are the thing that holds up everything the longest. They can do a lot of the work in the meantime, but I think those are somewhere around 4 months out by the time you order them. So around maybe 5 months or so, you could probably see this operational, I would assume. But in the meantime, you could work with, to get a video or some sort of, educational stuff in people's hands to let them know of this route.
One last question. Can you go back to your original slide that showed the traffic flow, just to remind everybody, because this is kind of the important thing, is that if you're headed, right there.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're headed west, you're going to go north, and you're going to go across the bridge, and you're going to turn right while the train's there. So you may have to go a block or two out of your way, but you won't be stuck sitting in traffic for forever. So that's
Correct.
We've talked about it a little bit before. And likewise, if you're going east, when you get across the bridge, you're going to have to turn right.
Yes.
And so we've talked about it before. We're going to get the backups off of Main Street, off of the viaduct, and get people moving. Some people will have to go a couple of blocks out of their way, but they won't be sitting still.
Yes.
So that's kind of what Mike's alluding to, is that people may say, why am I having to go out of my way now? And the answer is to keep traffic moving. Right. Is kind of the short layman's terms version. And so we just want to make sure as we're going in that we are fixing the problem, but there's not a perfect solution when you have a train stopped in the middle of your town. And so This is the best one we've been able to come up with, and we do think it'll be a lot better. But we just want to realize up front, it's not perfect, and this is going to be one of the things that some people may be not as happy with, but we understand it's a lot better situation than what we have now.
And the majority of the day, there'll be no issue going one block and then being able to turn left. Maybe during the peak times, there could be a little bit of a queuing, and hopefully those are the things that are moving. And so there's, not that backup because you're allowing them to flush out. So like you said, it's an unfortunate, but that's kind of the realization that to be able to get all that traffic moving.
And I hear a train whistle right now. So it's needed, and I'm glad we're doing it. Thank you very much.
My question, if you're going over the viaduct and you headed west and you make that right, so the traffic on Main is going north and south, so the light timers will be set that won't back up.
Correct.
Main is very congested up and down.
Yeah, when this is going, just the southbound will be going during the train preemption. The northbound won't, because that southbound left turn to get on to the viaduct will be held. And so you'll be able to turn north, and then hopefully, because that traffic's able to flush the through movement and that left turn, that they'll find gaps to be able to turn up either Denison or wherever if you're trying to go back south.
Right.
Yep.
Continue to go west.
And I want to reiterate one point that I think is very important. Traffic engineering consultants will be here to help us tweak those times and adjust them when we get this system up and running, so that we can make sure it's flowing as well as it can.
Absolutely.
So it's going to take a day or two to get that worked out.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Do we have any further questions at this time?
You know, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, may we recognize?
Yes.
And so when I first come in this evening, I was talking to Mike and Mr. Miller, and also you, sir, about a problem that we have. I want to reiterate, because a lot of times when people tell me something, I try to make sure I come up here and tell everybody. So right now, they're listening and probably listening to me. So I was going to say that we have a problem right there on 40th Street, going north and south. The VA runs buses from the Hatbox to the VA hospital, and from the VA hospital back to Hatbox for the employees. And they're having problems when you get ready to turn east and west. They're getting hung up there for just one car. You can get through it at the same time, and that's slowing them up.
Yes.
So I just wanted to
Mr. Stewart's going to be on it. So.
Yeah, Mr. Baxter's sitting here listening, so he knows what his assignment will be tomorrow.
Okay. I was just, a lot of times when people tell you something, they say, "Well, he ain't gonna say nothing when he get up there." I just want to make sure that it's recorded. I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, so no action on that one. Is that correct word? No motion needed?
That's correct.
All right. Item number 9, please.
Thank you, council.
Consider approval of the appointment of Julie McComb to the Parks and Recreation Board to serve a 4-year term, replacing Jonathan Hawk beginning May 1, 2021, and ending April 30, 2025, or take other necessary action.
This is one of my appointments. I met Julie a few weeks ago. She's one of our great citizens in our community. She's a Muskogee cyclist, as well as she is very active in our community gardens. I was discussing with her some of the challenges on our boards, and so one way to fix it is to put good people on it, and she's definitely someone that I would recommend to be a part of this board. So if you could consider, council, I would like to make a motion to put Ms. Julie McCone on the Parks and Recreations Board.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy
Yes.
Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. Item number 9 passes. Item number 10, please.
Consider approval of change order number 1 to the agreement with MGS Construction Services in the amount of $4,920 for additional work needed for the remodeling of Fire Station number 3, or take other necessary action.
Chief Jones.
Yep, Deputy Mayor and Council, we are currently remodeling Station Number 3. Station Number 3 is the fire station located on border between 24th and 69 Highway. The bulk of the remodel is changing one large bedroom into 3 individual bedrooms. There were some things omitted from the original bid. The change order is for $4,920. Staff recommends approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes, item number 10 passes. We have the time where we recognize citizens to speak, and Mr. Wilhite has submitted a form, but he didn't sign up in time, so I believe Mr. Van has a motion at this time.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules, let Mr. Miller have 3 minutes. You want 3 or 5? We got to vote on it first. You want 3 or 5? 3. Okay. Make a motion for him to have 3
Second.
minutes.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. Mr. Wilhite, you have 3 minutes to address us, and if you could, please state your address, please.
Dennis Wilhite, 2803 Haskell Boulevard, Muskogee, Oklahoma. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor and Council. I'm here because I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm passionate about something. I'm a former member of the War Memorial Trust Board and a volunteer. I got this message on April 29th of this year. From here on out, volunteers are no longer allowed to go into the back office or to roam around the grounds without my permission. If any of them come in or try to do some work, make sure to ask them if they have asked me first. Do not let them bully you around. You can call me if you run into any issue, but from here on out, nobody is allowed to come and go as they please like they were in the past, nor are they allowed to mess with anything in the museum. If you are curious, we've had a fallout with all of our volunteers, so we are bringing in an entire new crew. If our old volunteers cannot get on board with the new command, then their services are no longer needed. I have tried to work with them, but I'm exhausted and I am no longer tolerating it. That came from the acting director of the Batfish, the War Memorial Park. I'm a volunteer. I'll serve my country. I've worked this the way that I know to work it. I went through the board out there. I went through individual council members here. I've come to you as a council to make you aware that there are issues out there at the Batfish. Some people say we shouldn't close it down. I'm advocating that we close the park. Not long term, but there are some issues that need to be addressed. And I think closing the park and getting it ready for the 50th anniversary of the Batfish coming to Muskogee and the 150th anniversary of Muskogee, we could get it ready. And as the president of the Three Rivers Museum, I can guarantee you that we can do some things in 2 months. If you haven't been to the Three Rivers Museum after we've redone it, we can redo it out at the Batfish as well. But to get this type of message from the acting director of volunteers, that I'm not on board with their command, my allegiance, my loyalty is not to the is not to the director. My loyalty is to the boat. My loyalty is to the park. That's why I go out there with a weed eater and cut grass. That's why I go out there and log artifacts. But for someone to send me that message, it's not over it's over Facebook Messenger. The employee does not even have the acting director's phone number. He had to get it through Facebook Messenger. Really? And you councilmen that have been here a while know, may I extend for just a minute?
We would have to get that extension. Do we have a motion to give him additional time? Or?
Just 1 minute.
I'll make a motion to give him 2 minutes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to extend Mr. Wheelhouse's time by 2 minutes. Roll call, please.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. Mr. Wheelhouse, you have 2 more minutes.
Thank you. I only, and you know, I haven't been up here in 5 years. I haven't been up here since my brain tumor was removed 3 years ago. And it's because I'm passionate about this thing. And I don't come up here on a whim. I don't come up here to complain about anything. I'm up here because this bothers me that we haven't rectified this yet. And looking through the minutes, I know that there's things that it should have been taken care of by the city as far as hiring a full-time director. And I'm thinking shutting down the boat and the park until a new director's put in. They come in, they get in from ground zero, and they build the boat up the way it should be built up. And that's my recommendation. That's what I'm going to be advocating for because I think it's in the best interest of the boat, the park, and the city of Muskogee. And I think we just need to move. And like I said, I'm not up here to cause problems. I'm up here because I'm passionate. And I think you need to be aware of some issues out there. And that a lot of people don't want it to close, but I think it's probably in the best bet. But to tell me as a volunteer that my services are no longer needed, I've only been told that once before, and I've always regretted not standing up to that. But I'm standing up here right now to tell you that you got a fight on your hands if you think that I, as a volunteer, am going to go quietly into the good night because I want to do what's right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, and that is our final item, so this meeting is adjourned.